into a savings account, it's locked up, it's kind of securing the credit card, but then you actually get a credit card with that amount of credit. And that starts building your credit. You use the card, you get a bill in the mail, you pay your bill monthly, you'll start seeing that history of making your payments, and you'll see your credit score go up. Credit scores normally start around 350, and they go up to 750. So if you're to walk into a bank today and we see either no credit or a credit score of 350, we probably wouldn't be apt to give you what you're requesting. But if you start out small, have a store credit card or a secured card that M&T offers, you'll start building your credit so that someday you can, finance your house, $200,000 mortgage, and the bank, wouldn't even look twice to give you that.
So credit comes in handy too when you're looking for an apartment. Some people run a credit check before they'll rent you an apartment. The same thing with electric bills, utility bills, TV, DirecTV, Dish. They may run a credit check on you before they agree to allow you to receive their service. Verizon Wireless, if you don't have good credit, you probably have to pay a large sum up front. So it really affects you every day with anything that you do to live. So just be sure you keep that in the back of your mind. And paying your bills, paying your credit card bills, paying your loan payments on time, and not having them delinquent is critical to that. Any questions on that part of? So you guys are all seniors, right? So now is a good time to think about not only credit and getting that credit card established up front as soon as you turn 18 to start building your credit, but also checking and savings accounts. Okay? I know very few people that don't have a checking account to manage their funds and pay their bills. M&T has an account that can be opened when you're 13 years old with a guardian. You guys, at the age that you're at, can come in as long as you're 17 and you can open that account on your own. You don't have to have a parent or guardian on that account with you. The account I'm talking about is a MyWay banking.
Can a checking account for a 13 or 14-year-old have a debit card also?
Yes. So this is a new card, a new account that was established within the last year. This account is specifically for kids in high school, teenagers, to familiarize them with the process of checking an account and how to manage that account prior to them going out on their own. And you guys are seniors, so you're heading out to college or wherever you decide to go, and mom and dad might not always be there for you to be able to manage that account. We offer that the MyWay checking is an account that you can't get any overdraft fees on. So overdraft fees are huge, okay? Any basic account, normal account, with the exception of the MyWay, if you overdraft your account, it's $38.50 per item that comes through. So if you write a check or you do a debit card transaction and you don't have the money in your account to cover that, it's expensive. It's $38.50 that you get charged. It comes right out of your account. So that causes your account to be more overdrawn. The MyWay banking checking, you don't have to worry about that. You get a debit card with that account, whether you're 13 or whether you're 18, okay? As I mentioned, 17 years old, you can go and you'll open that account on your own. Okay?
M&T has custom debit cards.
Yes, they do. So we have a gallery that you can go through and choose your card, or we set you up with web banking. You have access through the computer. You have access on your phone through M&T's app, and you can customize your card with your own image. So you're more apt to use that card more if you have an image you like. So.
I have my little book.
Yeah.
I just want to add, especially with the MyWay checking, I don't know how many of you guys actually have after-school jobs, but you could also have direct deposit with this account so that the money would go directly into the account, so you wouldn't have to worry about checks and going to McDonald's to pick up your paycheck or whatever. It would go automatically into your account, so it's Nice.
So if you're paid with a check, you don't only have to go to where you work to pick up the check, but you also have to make it to the bank to deposit the check. M&T's made that simpler too. So if you have an M&T account, you can take a picture of your check and deposit it through mobile, okay? You take a picture of the front, take a picture of the back. Credit's just like if you walked into the bank to deposit that check, okay? So we're trying to simplify things for you guys, for all of our customers. The mobile or actually the online services are great as well. So the online services, whether you're logging into a computer or you're logging into the app on your phone, you can set up alerts. So if your account drops below a certain amount, it sends you a text message at 5 a.m. telling you your account's below your set amount that you set up on the alerts. You can send money to other people through Zelle. So Zelle is an app that allows you to transfer money to other people without having to write a check, okay? Without having to hand them cash. You have a record of that. It shows on your statement where it went. So that's important too. You can pay your rent with that through Zelle by entering the individual's either email or cell phone number. Okay. A couple other things. Bill pay. So, let's say you're 20 years old, you got to pay rent, or you got to pay a cell phone bill. You can set that up through bill pay. You don't have to write checks anymore. It's more secure. If you write a check, your account number and your routing number is on the bottom of that check, okay? If you pay it through bill pay, through the online services, it goes into a general M&T account, M&T writes the check for you. So your account's safer, okay? Another thing I want to mention about the credit card is talking about checking account and debit cards. So when you do transactions online or you go and you do a gas purchase, there's always a chance of fraud happening. Okay, fraud is huge in the world today.
Huge at the bank.
Yeah, we see it every day. Customers come in, they have to dispute transactions. That is your money that has been compromised. If you have a credit card and you use that credit card, that's M&T's money that's compromised. You come in, you do a dispute, that's M&T's money that's tied up, not your money. Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind too. Your account being compromised by using your debit card different places, whether it be online or whether it be out in the world just getting gas somewhere. It's more secure for you to use a credit card versus a debit card, especially if you're traveling. There's fraudsters that put skimming devices on the gas pumps or on the terminals that registers, ATMs, that's capturing your card information every time you use it. So just keep that in the back of your mind too.
And on that note, that's why it's really important if you're using your debit card or credit card, once you have your accounts established, to go on well-known websites. We see so many accounts that get compromised with people going on unknown websites, and next thing they know, there's hundreds of dollars of charges to their account because it's a fraudulent website. So I always tell customers, if you're leery, stick to the well-known websites.
One other thing I want to talk about as far as checking goes is checks. So when you receive a check, if it doesn't make sense, if you didn't work for that check, if you didn't receive that check from somebody known, say you receive a check in the mail and somebody sends you a letter and says you won the lottery. Didn't happen. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind too, because if you have a checking account and you deposit checks to that checking account, you're liable for the checks that are deposited. Okay, so if that check that came in the mail with that letter saying you won the lottery is a fraudulent check for $3,000, and you deposit that check and you spend that money, you owe the bank that $3,000. Okay, so just if it doesn't make sense, it's probably not right.
And that happens all the time.
We get a lot of that, and not school-age kids. I'm talking 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, people that have been in the world for a long time, and they receive these checks, they deposit them, saying, well, I received it, it must be good. Those checks are fraud. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind too. Okay. It's a life lesson.
If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Yeah.
Anything else on check?
I don't know, Do you guys know how to fill out a check and keep a register to keep track of how much money would be in an account? No, okay, okay.
Is that something that you go through?
That's what I'm gonna do after break, is
Okay.
put in like a check and have them fill it out, and then keep a checkbook too.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So with any checking account, you really should keep a checkbook register. You record your deposits, you record your withdrawals, whether it be a debit card transaction, whether it be a check. And as long as you're using that checkbook register and you make sure that the check that you deposited is available before drawing from it, there's no chance of overdrafting your account. Okay, you're getting those nasty fees. We do have other types of checking accounts. It really depends on your needs, what type of an account we would put you in, or what account would work best for you guys. So there are other accounts that you could possibly overdraft. And as I mentioned, those fees are hefty. So making sure you use the checkbook register to know what your checking account balance is key.
So we've got the checking accounts. We also have a whole array of savings accounts. Savings accounts go from the most basic account to a money market savings account that actually can accrue interest. Typically, kids that are younger, their parents set up the basic savings account when they're young, and it's a custodial account, which means the parents are in charge until they turn 18, and then the kids, once they turn 18, can turn that account into an adult savings account. So I don't know how many of you guys have a savings account, but it is really important to save money. I mean, if any of you are working, even, $5 a week or whatever, you want to establish a savings account. And later on, when you have that checking account, you can actually transfer money back and forth. So, if you're short, you want to go on Amazon or whatever, you could transfer money from your savings to your checking. And M&T, all of those services are totally free. You go right on your mobile app and you can transfer money. And sometimes that can save you from overdrafts too.
How many of you have a checking or a savings account? Checking or savings?
Both.
Checking. Do you manage that on your own?
Yes.
Do you keep a checkbook register? Do you know what your balance is?
And you
Just
do
asking
know
you.
by just getting your little receipt at the ATM, that might not be your balance.
Didn't know that.
So when you use your debit card for your checking account, the transaction that you're doing, whether you're be purchasing gas or going to the grocery store and purchasing, going to a clothing store, American Eagle or whatever, when you use your card, that may not deduct from your account immediately, okay? So what happens is when you swipe your card, it does an authorization for the purchase, okay? But until the merchant sends it to M&T for payment, it doesn't get deducted from your account. The bank can only hold that for 3 days before the hold drops off. So you've got, I purchased $30, a $30 purchase at American Eagle, okay? I swipe my card, the authorization's done, it shows on my account, okay? So when I go on my web banking, it shows there. But it's a pending transaction. 3 days later, it disappears. That $30 becomes available again, okay? Until American Eagle submits it to the bank for payment, and then you'll see it come out again. So in that little window where they didn't submit it for payment and those funds become available to you again, you could overdraft your account, okay? And you get charged for those nasty fees if there's an overdraft associated with your account. Okay? So just keep that in the back of your mind, okay? I know a lot of you guys, pay attention to your transactions and what you've done and make sure that those have been deducted. But keeping a register is really the key.
Gas is another thing. Yes, you stop to get gas. The gas pump will only hold $1, and sometimes you can run into trouble because if you get $20 in gas, it only holds $1, and then you go down to Subway, get a sub. Once that actually goes through, comes back to M&T for the gas purchase, it could overdraw your account too.
Couple hints for you. How to avoid those terrible situations. So, through our lives, we need credit. need checking accounts to pay our bills. Not necessarily a savings account, but you should definitely, you know, have some type of savings for emergency funds. You know, what if my car breaks down? You know, where's that money gonna come from for the repairs to my car? That savings fund is where my money's gonna come from. Okay, we have $500 bill for car repairs. You know, that savings account's gonna have that $500 in there if I plan ahead. Okay, so just keep that in mind. As I mentioned, you know, through life, you need credit. If you wanna buy a house, you need credit. You need a loan. You know, M&T can help you with those things. Establishing your credit is key to being able to accomplish those goals down the road. Student loans, you know, going to college, you need credit to get student loans. If you don't have credit established, a parent has to co-sign for you or take out a loan for you, okay? So keep that in the back of your mind, you know, as you go through the next 6 months. If you're 18, we can do a credit card for you. And as Patty mentioned, we now have a secure credit card, where if you have $500, you can stick it into a savings account. We can guarantee that you'll be approved for that $500 credit card. Okay, that'll help with your credit. Okay. We can certainly, you know, try to do just a regular credit card application too. There's nothing that says that it'll be turned down. You know, it's a matter of submitting the application to determine whether it's approved.
Well, and I think that's why it's really important to establish a checking account, maybe a savings account. The longer the bank sees that you have a history of a relationship with the bank, the more likely they are. I know M&T is more likely to take a look at you, your history, if you have a job, but to look at your relationship with the bank. And I've seen just recently more and more younger kids, they do approve them for a $1,000 credit card just because you've had the relationship with the bank. So that's why it's so important.
And know that, you know, if you want to go buy a new car and you don't have credit established, you're going to need a cosigner, okay? Not just any cosigner that has some sort of credit, but it's got to be a strong cosigner. So keep that in the back of your mind, you know, as you go through life, establishing your credit and making sure that you're paying your bills to keep your credit good. That if you run into a situation where you need a loan, that's the only way you're going to get it on your own, is to have good credit. And then if your credit is a little bit weak, you need a strong cosigner. So you need somebody that has good credit to be able to accomplish that goal. Whether it be an auto loan, whether it be a consolidation loan or a mortgage, all those types of things.
And we have all those types of loans. We have an unsecured loan, which means you don't need any collateral to secure it. It's free and clear. We have those loans up to $50,000 now. And they can go out as far as 84 months, but you have to have really good credit to actually get an unsecured loan. So, I don't know, say your car breaks down and you need $2,000 to fix it. Where's that $2,000 gonna come from? If you don't have the savings account with $2,000 in it, you're probably gonna wanna get an unsecured loan, so that you could fix your car to get to work or school. So, we have those, we have car loans, any kind of recreational vehicle loan, and the rates depend on your credit. They depend on the year of the vehicle or model. A whole bunch of different things go into how much they charge for the credit, for the interest rate.
Any questions?
So you say that your credit kind of determines your interest rate. How is that?
So there's a lot of things taken into consideration. If it's an unsecured loan, you have to have strong credit, and they'll only allow you a percentage of your debt as unsecured or revolving, okay? If it's a vehicle loan, they take into consideration your credit score, the year, make, model of the vehicle, and the mileage, okay? So credit's important. Mortgage, you know, they look at your credit score. You have to have a minimum credit score of 680
Yes.
to get a mortgage. A lot of things come into play with that.
How difficult is that, to get a credit score of 680?
Well, if you start when you're young, like you guys are, and do a credit card or a secure credit card and work at building that credit. You know, it does take a couple of years for your credit to be established and to be strong enough. They want to see the repetitive usage and the repetitive payments. So using your card, making the payments on time. Okay. It does take a couple of years to build your credit to where you need it to be able to accomplish the level of a loan on your house. Credit card, you could normally accomplish that within the first 6 months to a year. You know, credit cards they've gotten a little more lenient on those. As far as if you're 18 and you have a job and you've had a job for a year or two, you know, they'll be more apt to approve that credit card with no established credit than if you've only been working for 2 months. Okay. And have no credit established.
Personally, my kids were 17, 18, and I did co-sign for their first loans and help them to start build credit. And they started out with store cards, you know, maybe American Eagle, a $500 credit limit. So between the car loan and the credit card, which does make a difference in your credit score of what kind of credit it is, if it's for a credit card or loan. So the bank likes to see different kinds of credit being used too. So by the time they were, I think my daughter was 23 and she bought her first house. So it is possible when you're in your 20s, you know, to be able to accomplish that with a steady work history too.
The best way to build your credit fast is if you're working and you have a savings account, let's say you have $2,000 in that savings account, which is the minimum loan that we offer. If you have $2,000 in that savings account, put that up for collateral, get an unsecured loan for $2,000. Because the money's there, you, 18 years old, can get that loan, no problem. Okay? Make those payments over the term that you choose, and when that loan is paid off, how long would you say? 2 years?
At least 18 months, yeah.
Of repetitive payments on time, and you're probably gonna be able to get an unsecured loan on your own without any collateral.
A lot of people that are trying to rebuild their credit, that have had certain things happen in their life that means their credit has slid, we always suggest, you know, if they have money just sitting in a savings account, they don't plan on using it, they can use that for collateral, and they can get a loan and start building their credit again.
And you're not really out that $2,000 that's in that savings account because you're getting a loan for that $2,000.
Right.
And then when your loan's paid off, that $2,000 is available to you. So, you know, you're making your payments. So if you're working, you know, you've got your income from work that you can make those payments with. But when that loan is paid off, that $2,000 is still there and it's still yours. But in the case that you stop making your payments or unable to make your payments, you can go to that account and you can pay it off. Or the bank will pay it off using those funds.
What's the worst thing you can do to make your credit go bad?
Not pay your bills. Make payments late. If you have a credit card or you have a loan, you have, let's say, a cell phone bill, all of those types of things, if you're not making your payments on time, it affects your credit. Okay. Most loans, they give you a 10-day grace period. Credit cards, there's no grace period. Okay. A bank reports to the credit bureau 30 days late. Okay. So if your payments are 30 days late, you can guarantee that it's going to affect your credit.
And you'll start getting notices, nasty notes, phone calls, whether it be a car loan or a mortgage. Eventually, the repo people will come and take your vehicle and house or whatever,
So-
but you don't want it to slide that far.
When a bank pulls your credit report, they can tell how many loans you have, how many credit cards you have, student loans, all of those types of things. If you go and you request your credit report, it'll show you all of those things as well. It'll also show you how many times you were late making your payments, how many payments were made on time. It breaks it down for you so you can see all of that. Okay. So when you apply for a loan or a credit card, that's the information that our back office sees.
And the score can go down a lot faster than it goes up, so.
There's also, if you have credit cards, there's a percentage of what's available to you that they look at when your credit score is going up or down. If if you have a $2,000 credit card and it's got $1,800 used on it, it's gonna drop your credit score. Where if you have only like $200 used on it, you know, your credit score is gonna be higher because your percentage is higher.
So if you max your cards out, it's not a good thing.
Not a good
Not a
thing.
good thing.
Not at
They
all.
call it utilization,
Yes.
and if it's over 45% utilization, that can drag your score down. So you're better off having 4 cards and you're using, 25% than having 1 card and using almost all of it.
What's the best way to check your credit?
You can get a free copy of your credit report once a year through each of the credit bureaus. Okay, so Apifax, Experian, and
TransUnion.
TransUnion. Okay, you can do that online or by calling their 800 number.
Those are the 3 credit bureaus that gather information. Every 30 days, they gather it on everyone.
Any other questions? Anything else specifically that you wanted us to cover?
No, I think that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
guys.
if you ruin your credit, right, and you got too many maxed out, what's the best way to get your credit back?
So you've maxed out.
You maxed out your cards, your credit score is low, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I better buy a house, I can't, because,
So we get a lot of customers like that, and we work with them to try to build their credit again. The best way is to start out with their lowest balance card. It's kind of a mind game. If you're paying off things, you feel better once you pay them off. It's not necessarily the highest interest rate. I find with people, they feel better when they pay off, get something paid off. They're more likely to go on to the next one. But yeah, just keep chomping away, pay off the smaller balances, and eventually keep it on time, you'll see your credit go up. I've seen people go from bankruptcy to, having a beautiful home and a mortgage, over a course of years, but paying off that debt is starting again.
you talk about credit cards, the positive piece about it for building your credit. Well, how about the negative piece of using credit cards? Especially for young people.
Yes.
It's easy to use them. Okay, you don't have the cash in your checking account or in your savings account, swipe that card and you get what you want. You get what you need, but you gotta keep in the back of your mind, there's a bill that goes along with that. It's easy enough to use and max out, and then you're in trouble, if you don't have a job that you can pay it back, okay? And that's where your credit is important in keeping that in the back of your mind, that I use the rule, if I don't have the money in my pocket to pay that credit card bill, I don't use my credit card, okay?
That won't help your credit though, will it?
No, it will not, no.
It's kind of a balancing game,
Yeah.
it really is. You don't want to go out and get 10 credit cards either, because then the credit bureau says, that's kind of fishy, they're getting all these credit cards and they're probably going to max them out, and then they're not going to pay their bills, and then they're going to be in trouble. So it's just kind of a balancing act. I always say start out small, just gradually, increase your credit and keep, making your payments on time.
And is having a cosign for your loan, is that bad?
It's not bad at all. Just the person that's co-signing has to realize that when they sign as a co-signer, they're responsible for that loan. It's gonna show up on their credit report, and it's gonna reflect negatively to them if you don't make your payments. We have so many people that come in and say, why did I co-sign for them? They haven't made their payments, and now I'm stuck with it, or I can't get a mortgage now because this loan is showing up on my credit score, even though I'm not making that payment. So they have to really realize all the things that they're signing up for when they're a co-signer.
So when you have to ask your parents for a cosign for your first car loan, it's a bigger thing you think it is,
It
right?
is,
It's
it
not
is.
just, oh, sure, I'll sign,
No.
whatever. It affects
Big
them
decision. It is.
also.
It is. I mean, they've got to take, each kid's individual, they're all different. I think parents kind of, they have a feel for their kid and they'll know if they're gonna make good on it or not, but it's a big responsibility, it really is. And
And
you don't
mo-
want to
and-
hurt your parents' credit.
And most of us do get a cosign loan for our first vehicle.
Right, because it's hard to get credit, it's hard to establish.
No.
That's why we're so happy we have the secured card now.
First 250,
just keep that in the back of your mind, you know, if you do need a cosigner, that, you know, you're putting their credit at risk as well as your own, okay?
So when you miss a payment for that loan, right, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting somebody else.
Right.
No questions, guys? Come on, you gotta have something.
Something.
Pretty right forward.
You're set, you know, you understand all this. 'Cause I'm
You're gonna walk out, you're gonna get a credit card and a checking account, you're gonna know how to manage all of that, right?
I'm 42 and I still, you know, get
Write
nervous.
everything down in the book.
So when I was your age, my biggest problem was my debit card. I went to college, right? I was going to the ATM, and before I knew it, I was having overdraft. You know, so that's, you really, once you get a debit card, if you don't have one, you really gotta watch it.
And you guys that have your checking accounts with the debit cards, you do realize if you go to a non-bank, you get charged for that too. We always tell our customers if you're not near an M&T, which not really here in this area, but like the Buffalo, Rochester area, there's M&Ts everywhere. You can go to a store, make a purchase, and actually get cash back, and then you don't have to pay for the ATM fee.
Give me an example, you have an M&T account and you use your card at Five Star, it's ATM. You get charged a fee from Five Star, which comes up on the screen, and then you get charged a $3 fee from M&T. So that just costs you $6 to use somebody else's ATM when you could go to Giant and do a purchase and get cash back and it costs you nothing.
Yes, good point. So you can use your debit card anywhere,
Anywhere.
but if you go to an ATM, that's when you get charged.
Yep. My son went to Alfred, and there were no M&Ts over there, and he did that all the time. Because I wouldn't let him go to another bank, so. No questions?
Can you explain personal loans?
Sure. So the personal loan process, which would be an unsecured loan, so there's nothing being used as collateral. The minimum is $2,000. You would come in, do an application, sign the application, and then it would immediately get sent off, and M&T would order a credit check. It's usually about a 24-hour turnaround, and you would know, by then if you were approved or not. $2,000, you could go out as far as 60 months. That's the furthest that you can go for a $2,000 loan. And you're looking at about payment, 40 some dollars a month, yeah, for a $2,000 loan.
So what's the difference between a personal loan and a car loan or a mortgage or?
So there's collateral. So with a car loan, your car is used as collateral. That's backing the, the credit worthiness that you're gonna pay that loan, or else the bank's gonna come and repo the car. Same way with the mortgage. The house is being used as collateral. So with the unsecured personal loan, there's just no collateral.
Interest rates different between a car loan and a personal loan?
Yes.
So, car loan, depending on the year, unsecured loan is probably 3 or 4% higher.
Yeah, it's right now they're
On
around
average.
7.99, and it depends on your credit score and all that good stuff. But yeah, right around 7.99 they've been, and they've dropped. They were, a couple years ago, they were 10.99, so they've
So
really
it's dropped
dropped.
significantly in the last.
Shockingly, I did a snowmobile loan the other day, and the rate was actually cheaper to go unsecured, nothing used as collateral for brand new snowmobile than to get a snowmobile loan. So we went unsecured because he had good enough credit to do
I was
that.
gonna say, usually a personal loan is gonna be much higher
Yeah.
than but that was a
Yeah,
situation.
it fluky
But
thing
because the
was
credit,
that.
because of score, right?
Yes.
That was the big
That
help.
was what helped, so I said, this seems crazy, but we're going unsecured because it's better credit.
So it saved him money because
It did.
of his credit
Yep.
score.
A lot of snowmobile loans this time of year.
Not bad.
So there's different steps as far as your credit score, or different ranges, I should say. You got excellent, you got good, and then you got not so good. Okay, so, if you have a good or an excellent credit score, you're probably gonna be approved for that unsecured loan. If your score is below a 680, it's gonna pass over.
Another thing to remember, if you have a bad credit score, you may think to yourself, oh, I'll get a good cosigner, we'll be able to get the loan. The bank looks at it, if you have that bad of credit, they don't even want your name on the loan. That person would have to go, not as a cosigner.
It's that magic time again. Tune in to the Rubber Express Show.
Okay, so basically that's the class, guys. Now we have Rebel Express Show, which is our daily announcements on video. So, we'll go from there. So thank you very much for coming
Thank you
in.
very much.
If you don't have if you have questions, you lost your opportunity, guys.
We've got some brochures over there and our business cards, so
Perfect.
call us anytime.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate.
We're actually housed in the Arcade branch at M&T, but our sister branch is the Rushmore branch, so anytime.
Perfect.
And I live here in Cuba, so.
Wow.